welcome back to Travis Told You. So I swear, Clay, Family Clay, the bane of my existence. It was always just Travis Told You. And then the first episode, Travis Told You, so Travis Told You, so you say in the comments. And then I got my brain, and my goodness, now it's there. I should retake this, but I don't want to. Out of stubbornness. I'm just going to say, I wasn't going to say Travis Told You, so I was going to say Travis Told You so good that it's Wednesday. Yes, when you're listening to this is Wednesday, August 24th. Not sure when you will be consuming it. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see it's premiering right now because I recorded it. It is now in the wee hours. It is midnight of August 24th, and that's what I said I'd be doing, right? Is the thing is I said, I'm going to see what works best right now with the kids and everything like that. And there's a chance I could wake up early tomorrow and do it anyways, but I think I got most of my topics. I will say this is because I'm figuring out the schedule. Thought I was going to go in the morning. Just worked a little bit better. That's the way it is with, life, podcasts, kids, etc. Lovely lady. Just working better to make sure I get it done. So I will apologize to the patrons, everything. The next episode, which will be whenever it is filmed, I guess recorded, August 25th, whether it's at midnight or in the morning, I will send in those questions. Thought I was going to do this earlier or later on, but I didn't. So I will send them in. I'm getting kind of used to the new time and everything like that, because that's the thing where, oh God, what was it? With the old schedule, I'm still in the side quest blue. Go check out side quest. With the old schedule, I had this routine of, okay, I go live at 3, I get the show notes ready around 11, send them out to the patrons at 12. I get a new routine, or find a way to adjust the routine and stuff like that, because as of right now, that's what I'm doing. So ladies and gentlemen, it is August 24th. We got some fun stuff to talk about today. The Batman, some Star Wars, some trailers, some strange deals with Halloween. I don't really know. It's interesting to see what they're doing with that franchise. But ladies and gentlemen, yes, you can go down below and all the links are there. Most importantly, I will hopefully remember. If I don't remember, please, as a courtesy, if you could do a favor to all of us here. What is it in on the pin post for Twitter? Absolutely. Even if you don't have a Twitter, just search our Twitter, get the pin post. But I'll try and do it here. We'll be pimping out for the next week or so. We have our, I guess, going to be annual survey. I like it to be an annual survey because there's no one else to hear from but you guys and gals and everyone in between, for how we're doing. We can talk about us and our stands, like, oh, this is good, this is bad, etc., everything like that. But this is a fan-powered network, whether it's Patreon, whether it's people listening, even if it's listening to our sponsors, ads, buying the sponsors, sponsorships, stuff like that. Manscaped, 20% off, free worldwide shipping. Go do that. All that support comes back to us. So we appreciate everyone that does that, but we still want to make sure that we're doing the best we can. And as we've said, every year we're evolving, every year we're growing. We're planning on doing more growing and changing in 2023. Luckily, from the results so far, I think everything you love about GeekVerse is staying. It's only more or like slight additions and stuff like that. You guys are overwhelmingly, that's sounding really bad, but like you guys have been pretty positive. You were last year, and we will eventually do a town hall. I think we're probably going to do a town hall in January, so you might be going, why are you doing these surveys? Well, one, I think we're actually going to do a second survey as well with a few other questions and some based on the results of this. And two, it's just because we kind of have our year mapped out for what we're going to be doing right now. Everyone knows that. In January, also, that gives us time to, if we want to make any changes, if we want to plan anything, time to pivot, time to incorporate. Because let's say you guys have a good idea, or let's say there's something we're doing you really don't like, then we have time to, okay, how can we change that? How can we do that? How can we approach this differently and things like that? So that's what the survey helps, and it helps with all the new shows we're doing, like comic version, side quests, even this show. I didn't make a side questions for this show because it is in like a trial run. I don't consider it technically done. I was maybe considering doing them the second survey, but I will say that you guys have been very nice and very positive. I know people do listen because obviously I see the stats, and if they didn't listen, I would see the stats quite lower. But it's nice that, even this month so far, I've had quite a few episodes that are in our top 10s and stuff like that, and I appreciate that because it is like you never know when you got the Avengers together. We're more like Alpha Flight, we're lower tier, but when someone goes on their own, how are you going to get supported? So I'm not saying you have to go and put anything in those surveys and whatnot, but there's been a few of you that have calling the show out specifically, and I really appreciate that because I do work hard. And yeah, if you want to hear more in the future, because yes, I do go back to my full-time job, but there's always some things to tinker with or play with if the people want it, and so far so good. But I always like to know because I want to know what you want. And that's the same thing with GeekVerse. With every show, there's some different random questions and stuff like that, so it just helps us gauge of you power this network, so we want to make sure I have no good transition. We just want to make sure we're doing it as right as we can, and there's of course, and this is what we will do in our town hall too. As always, there's people that will say certain things, nothing bad at least, but we'll say things and go, okay, well, this isn't going to change, but here's how we're addressing this, or this is how it's different. There's just some things in general that are just, hey, this is the way they go. Most of the time, it's not about ads. People haven't said, oh, I hate the ads. Usually, like last year, the survey, we had good people. It's just, hey, could we change that? And then you go, well, no, we can't, but this is why. And last year was great because we could explain that, and people would hit us back and go, hey, okay, I kind of get it now. It is anonymous, as the other last thing is. It is anonymous, so there was somebody, I'm not going to call them out, that signed at the very end. They had nothing but nice things to say in all the categories, so maybe that's why you signed it. But that's the first sentence. You don't have to say it. So whether it's something against the show, the brand, anything like that, and let's get some actual good criticism here. Luckily, we've not had anything bad, but you can be a little harder, because I know some people, if you were to ask them, oh, it's great, yeah, everything's great, don't change anything, but you'd want to say something, but you feel like you're speaking at a turn. No, don't do that. So please, that would help a lot. We're going to pimp that the next little while, so I'm sorry if you hear about this again, but you have to do that. And yeah, links, everything down below. I just did a side quest with Dylan. She-Hulk will be coming back this week. The links have our separate feeds. They have the podcast network. The podcast network runs about 6 days a week. They cover their shows dedicated to Marvel, Star Wars, DC, all the different type of comic books with Walk the Verse, World's Finest True Believers, superhero discussion, slice of film, Star Wars Alliance, just a whole bevy of things. If you like what we do here, you're going to like what they do over there, because they tackle aspects of those fandoms that might be different from ours, different takes, and just different hosts, and there's some really good people over there. So go check that out. Geek Ultimate Alliance, of course. And yeah, I think that's everything. So we get to start with some good news. We had some bad Batman news yesterday, but today we are talking about hopefully what seems to be good news. So today, and I was bad. I didn't pull up the right articles and everything like that. But pretty much today what happened, it was after I recorded, of course, yesterday's edition of Trash Told You, and right when I'm like, damn it. But that's okay, because it gave me a main topic for right now. Matt Reeves has signed a multi-year first look deal. Now, I'm sure all of you know that. Like, if you're listening to this show, you probably know what a first look deal, but just in case you don't, a first look deal is, let's say I had a first look deal with GeekVerse, okay? Let's say I'm a separate podcaster. Any show or any idea I might have, I get to bring to them first, because then if they don't like it, they can say, you know what, this isn't really for us, go somewhere else. But then if they see it and they go, you know what, this is a fantastic idea, I want this, well, then they get first dibs on it, and that's the point of it. Now, it comes at a very interesting time, right, where Warner Brothers is going through a bunch of changes, good and a lot of bad. As we talked about yesterday, the stock is doing terribly. I didn't even know the stat, and I could be wrong because I didn't fully look into it. I'm not a stocks guy, but I'd seen 2 people put this out, so I don't think I think they were referring to this past Friday, but if not, I could be mistaken. Either way, we talked about that $2 billion they lost, and apparently they lost it since like this Friday. It's not going good over there. So they signed him to a multi-year first look deal. And here is some of the quotes here. Let me get it here. This is from their side. Warner Brothers say they will empower Matt Reeves to be a cornerstone of a filmmaker at the studio. We're making an investment for whatever Matt feels pulled toward in the Batman universe and otherwise. He has open invitation to go wherever his interests take him. At first, when I read that, I read that kind of wrong. Wherever they take them, they should be taking them to you. But I meant just like movies and projects. Cool. And then he just put out some statement it's great to build a foundation here at this classic studio. And, I've loved this, blah, 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 blah. All the good jazz, right? So I would say, we were talking about this yesterday where Matt Reeves gets a project canceled. Not canceled, but it's not going to HBO Max. So you would feel, okay, this is a guy who just directed a single a solo Batman movie pretty successfully. Why would you be getting rid of any project associated with him? Like, the name alone and attach it should help. It was a weird stance, but again, it is just animation. Now, I don't look at it the same way as what I talked about yesterday and was Zazoff maybe looking at lesser than. I'm just saying, as it is just one animated show that he is a part of. It's not, hey, this is a show that connects to the Batman, has our past, and I'm directing, show running, stuff like that. So that's what I mean, like, just animation as far as it is on the lower scale as far as the Batman universe, I would imagine, right? I would take this. Now, you can never say never in this business and what our fandom is, because we just had a Batgirl film canceled, and good thing it did, because it saved all that $2 billion. Hope that $30 million, I guess that's why they needed it, right? Because they're like, man, they're taking so many hits, they don't need any money. But the Batman, we've went back and forth, is this going to happen, yes or no? And I think there had been signs for both the positive and the negative. The positive, the cons, I guess that works. If you were to ask me, I would say yes, there was already more positives and stuff like that. But at the same time, there was a few cons. Now, what's interesting with this for me is, we were talking about this in our Discord. Go join our Discord. Tons of fun in there. We're watching Gamescom together. Who made this move first, right? Because you have Matt Reeves, who easily could have seen all this shit going down and be like, you know what, if I'm going to do anything here, I need a solid, stern contract. And they could have come with, yeah, multi-year, but still, I need a stern contract. Or it's the reverse of, hey, this happened, we could lose some people, we have lost some people, we need to lock Matt Reeves down. Especially if they have full consideration as far as, hey, we plan on the Batman 2 being directed by Matt Reeves. If he even gets a sniff of, hey, maybe this isn't right, I should leave, they want to lock that down, right? Hopefully they use it better than the JJ thing. But I do think this is a good sign for the Batman 2. Now, it had come out that him and Matt Tomlin, I should find out, but he was a guy. Now, I'd have to pull up his credits, and I will. So I knew he was writing the Batman. Reeves put that out there. That's the writing process. Of course, the one fucking discussed film doesn't have a name. But anyways, writing process for the Batman 2 hasn't actually begun yet, but is expected to be in the coming weeks, which makes sense. We had heard that he was working on it. He's been working on the other shows as well, but I think it's just like the story purpose, like the story reasons of who's villain, what's the main goal, what's the character's arc, stuff like that. How are we going to shoot this? Like, not shoot this as far as they're not doing a pre-production planning, just in the sense of, okay, well, what is the grand scale? What are the big set pieces? Stuff like that. What you would call it is, oh man, I'm forgetting, oh, it's not a transcript. A treatment. A treatment is kind of, if people don't know, it is the script before the script. It is the bullet points. It is the, what is the website? There's a website where you can go, and people are going to be mad at me right now. They're going to be like, oh, look, you're casting at midnight. That's why you're forgetting. But it's the website where you have bullet points of the story. That's what a treatment is, just the broad strokes, right? So that I can believe. But Matt Tomlin, I think that's how you say his name, he came on board to write the Batman. It felt early on, but for us, or I guess for us it felt early on, but really was later into production, because he only came to help with the third act, and that's why he didn't get a writing credit. And I was very surprised, because he's writing a Batman comic, which I haven't read, and he's written some other things that people were liking. I was like, that's strange. Why didn't he get a credit? But I guess it's just because he didn't write fully enough to get like a WGA credit and stuff like that. But it seems like he's there from the ground up. So Matt Reeves, whatever happened with the third act, he seems to have liked that. So that's good. I was going to bring up what he did, because I think he directed or wrote Power. I think Thompson. Let's see. I'll just go that way. Power was that Jamie Foxx, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, like people take pills and they get superheroes and stuff like that. It was fine. It was your classic Netflix movie where it just feels like it could be straight to DVD, and that's where I was a little disappointed, because okay, so he didn't direct, he just wrote it there. So what else is he? Because I thought there was something he wrote that was like, oh, this is the big thing. Like this is or at least like the jumpstart to his career. Solomon Grundy, it was a short, Renee, Little Fish, Mother Android, Terminator, Mega Man, it was Project Power, by the way. No, there wasn't, I thought there was something he did that was like a big whatever. But anyways, He's writing the script. Now, I think this is anything, again, never say never, anything can happen. But I think this is a really good sign the Batman 2 is actually happening now. I don't think you signed the director of the Batman to a multi-year contract without that being the plan. In the statement, they talk about the Batman universe. They had before, when this movie was announced at CinemaCon, brought out Matt Reeves during the Zaslav era saying, hey, Batman 2 is happening, get ready. You had the earnings call where they cited the Batman as a success. So these are good signs. Now, like I said, the bad sign could always be they write this film, they submit it, and Zaslav and come just go, oh, this isn't right. Not even for universe, whatever. They just go, oh no, this isn't. We maybe do Batman this way. My hope is that they just saw the Batman, loved it. Hey, let's try not to touch it as much as possible. Let them do what they're gonna do. So anything can happen, but I think this is actually a good sign. I think the people of the Batman fandom and family, we can rest a little. It's for now until we hear, oh shit, hit the fan again. Matt Reeves and Zaslav are yelling. But I would expect that everything that Matt Reeves would have been wanting to do with the trilogy was probably laid out in this meeting, this signing a multi-year deal, all these things. So I would hope that is the case. I would hope it's not the case where we got a lot with Star Wars, where it felt like there's a meeting and either they went their separate ways or the meeting was misunderstood. And then before we get to shooting or sometimes during shooting, there's a problem. We're not having the same vision, stuff like that. We don't want that. You want that to happen before. The same reason why, luckily for the fans, that turned out okay. It turned out okay and everything worked out. But with Justice League, I always said it was a mistake for Snyder to do BVS and then almost immediately do Justice League. For the studio, it was a mistake. Not talking about the fans, but for them who were against Snyder's vision, they should have not have. Honestly, they probably shouldn't have went with BVS, but they should have not done that so fast. And then look what happened. They just cut up that film. Luckily, there was stuff left and they fixed the film and did a better version of it, in my opinion. So I hope they're on the same record, or like same, whatever the saying is. I hope the record's straight. I hope they know what they're expecting. I hope he knows what to expect from them. But I think this is the first sign, not the first sign, but the first real big sign. Now, again, they had announced it before. These are all things like, maybe it's not the first real sign. I would just say it is the biggest sign that Matt Reeves is going to be directing the Batman 2, and hopefully there'll be very minimal problems and issues and stuff like that. So fingers crossed. Let's hope that happens. I'm going to take our first ad break, and then I'm going to be talking about the Batman conversation that I saw going on kind of all day about after this news came out. I don't know what spawned it, but we're going to talk about that after this ad break. And we're back. So this is something because this happened. I don't know how it came across the Twitter sphere. And this is more just so, this is not so much, again, Twitter is not real life. People aren't, I guess they're talking about us, but they don't care. They just want a Batman film. But I had seen him from two separate places. Of course, speaking of Fanboy Clay, he was the first. And then actually Tim Rooney has been a Marvel Alliance. He helped with some charity stream stuff before. Good guy. Go follow him. He just had he's had one of his short films win awards. That's really cool. As someone that wants to do filmmaker, it's great that he's out there doing that stuff. And he's just a really genuine good guy. But they had made just different comments about Clay's always been this way, about he doesn't want the non-realistic Batman. He wants a not realistic Batman. He wants the supernatural, the heightened, dealing with powered beings. And then Tim Rooney had said something similar, like wanting to see a Batman, film in this franchise that's going to be not so realistic, more fantastical, I think he said, to paraphrase. And I was like, oh, this is strange. And then once I saw Clay's tweet, it was a quote tweet. And then I saw other tweets throughout the day that all made sense. So I guess it was this thing of, and who knows, this is the way Twitter works, where someone says something, it's a trending tweet, and then a bunch of people spawn off of that. And then there's other trending tweets. And then you go, oh, what was the source for all of this? So, because at no point did they, again, today they talk about the show still on, both with Arkham and Penguin. And no point was like, oh, in Batman, he's not going to be fighting supernatural beings in Batman 2. No, there wasn't any actual details about the Batman 2, right? It was just a conversation in our film Twitter circle of, I'd seen people say the Dark Knight did irreparable damage to the Batman character. He's boring when he's this way and stuff like that. All opinions, and as some people would say, of course, like all subjective and things like that. It's tough for me with this because I did love the Batman, right? And I'm somebody that is on that side that wants supernatural Batman. But at the same time, it's strange that people only they have a short memory and they only take like like film as this is the definitive Batman. It kind of seems like, right? Because I want that, but at the same time, you have Batman that's gonna be the Flash, right? So you have Keaton's Batman, who I think you can put in that dealing with supernatural kind of crazy stuff. But even then, if he didn't in the original ones, he is now. He's in a time travel movie. And then you have Ben Affleck's Batman, who's also still in this, going to be an Aquaman. And maybe they're not like the large soul film Batmans, but still, you have Batman's dealing with the not realistic, supernatural comic booky world. And then you have the Batman. It's the same thing like Gotham was very much like the comic booky world. And that's where it's strange because, like, and I don't want to speak for him, for Tim, but I feel like I know Tim enough, and there's other people like him where they say they want a Batman that is, not, fantastical, having some fun with it, a bit more comic booky. We just got that like 2016. Now, this is the thing where I think this could be like with Tim and other people where they didn't like that version. So either they just want an updated version with that, or they just kind of forgot we get that because we don't, they don't watch that or they don't care for that movie. But it's just like, I would understand if the Batman happened and comic books, video games, TV shows, and movies it is just nothing but realistic Batman. It's not that. It is most of the stuff is still unrealistic, comic booky Batman, fantastical Batman. Even in Titans, fantastical Batman. Animated stuff, fantastical Batman. When he's appearing in Scooby-Doo, video games, fantastical Batman. Comic books are still all fantastical. TV shows, we've had Gotham, we've had oh god, I guess Batman's not really been in anything else as he live action wise, but still, the times we have seen him, it's been in a fantastical world. So it's just interesting that and here, like I said, I want that. Nothing would please me more than he fights Ra's al Ghul and those Lazarus Pit, or he fights the Corrals and they're kind of clone ghosts or whatever, or they take in DNA and they're splicing, like whatever it is with the Corrals that they do. It's been a while. Can't remember the exact thing. They like take people's DNA and they freeze it and they build upon that. It's a very sci-fi, like, over the top way of getting some of these villains, but I'd be completely down for that. But people can. I would understand if all the content changed. It did not. And then after the Dark Knight trilogy, we got a Batman movie, which was 2012, so 4 years later, only 4 years later, with Ben Affleck's Batman fighting Superman, as fantastical as it can get. And that's the thing where people can say, well, we didn't get that solo Batman. Okay, true, but then we still have all this other fucking content. People complain there's not enough Batman, or there's too much Batman, but then it's like, oh, but we need this specific way. So I get it to a sense if that's what I wanted. The same thing as like I wanted an older Bruce Wayne, but for me, who likes the Batman, great. For people that don't like the Batman, if because it's not, fantastical is one of the main reasons, or you're hoping for that to happen, don't hold your breath. I've been saying this for a while. There's nothing in the Batman that's really that fantastical, and I don't think we're going that way. Everything Matt Reeves has said, other people have said, it just feels like we're going to be something similar to Nolan. But again, we just had Ben Affleck. Okay, he was in Suicide Squad for just a little bit, but still, he's an appearance there. In BVS, he's fighting Superman, and in Justice League, he's fighting fucking aliens. And then you're still going to get him in Flash doing weird shit. You're still going to get Keaton's Flash doing weird shit. And it's just like a weird, and I hate this thing because, again, we always bug Ray about on Vodka Stream about like tribalism, because I think lots of it is just people having fun, or it's like a sports mentality. They don't think that much about it. But it is very much like, well, they're making this Batman and it's not fantastical, so I can't like it. It's all wrong. It's just like, guess what's going to happen? The same thing I hear all the time, which is true about, if Snyder was, his 5-film plan was told to all of us, maybe we would have sat there. Now there's, and took it and then moved on. And there's part of me that goes, yeah, now knowing that retrospective, I do feel that way. I don't know at the time. I still would have been like Fantastic Beasts. I'm like, man, they want to make 5 of these. But at the same time, if something like Justice League would have came out and won me over, I'd be like, okay, there's only 2 more, but I'm still excited for these 2 more. Barry's always said trilogy. And the same thing is this franchise, even if it goes 6 movies, it's not going to be to the end of time. Maybe someone will pass away before it, but that's why it's like there's not just the Batman movies. There is so much more of Batman that is fantastical. And sure, I want that, but I like different versions as well. That's the other thing too, where it's just like my Batman has to be this specific version for me to like it. And it's like, and that's fine, I guess. I like having different versions of the character. There's versions that I prefer and prefer and like. There's some that I flat out dislike, but then I don't keep revisiting those characters. So, and that was a big debate again today of like showing villains like, oh, I can't wait till they do this, and oh no, they're not going to do that. I'm completely in that camp that I don't think they'll get that fantastical, and I'm fine with it because we're going to do this trilogy. Let's say it is trilogy. We're going to do this trilogy, and then we're going to move on, and there'll be a new Batman. And maybe he might be realistic, but guess what? You also had all those fucking 4 Batman movies before, Sure, they're bad, some of them. Like, yeah, Batman versus Robin, he's fighting Mr. Freeze, but at the same time, it's like, it still counts. It's still, like, when you do the whole, oh, well, character's not interesting when he's realistic. It's like, okay, well, don't watch that, watch these old ones. People are, but I want a good one of that. Well, don't be greedy, as Brad Pitt says in Bullet Train. Don't be greedy now, because you also have so much Batman content that has it in a fantastic world. And then there's just this one thing, because it's the biggest and very popular and something that's very well received. People go, oh, it's not the same thing if it's not really. There's multiple Batman comics where it's very realistic and they try their best to like, okay, look at, not exactly like Nolan like painted in our world, but took a realistic slant, right? So that's why it's one of these things that the characters of Mr. Freeze, things like that, I don't see happening unless they are highly changed to fit that world and being very sciencey and stuff like that. So it was interesting to kind of see that pop off today and see people talk about it. People keep, I tell people all the time, like, well, you just go wait and see. And that's true. I'm ready to be proved wrong, but I've just not seen any signs of it whatsoever that we are not going to get a, non-fantastical Batman. But then you can't win because this Batman, never really kills. I think people try to make a case with the Penguin accident, but Penguin makes all that stuff happen, in my opinion. I'd have to like watch a kill count video, I guess, but I don't think that there's anything he deliberately does. So it's like, that is sitting to me something that's a core Batman thing, but for some people it's not, right? So we'll see, but I not like taking the we'll see approach because I don't think it's going to be fantastical. I've never thought that. I just think that this is the style that he wants to tell, like a cop with Batman. And people go, oh, well, how's that Batman? Well, it's a different take on Batman. And also then go read a bunch of other Batman. There is so many Batman comics out there. So scripts just being written, we won't hear for a while about any casting ideas, stuff like that, if it's not even being written yet. So I have to hold on, but I can hold on knowing that the Batman 2 is likely coming, which we talked about before. So that is good. Speaking of coming back or not coming back, John Boyega. So I guess I shouldn't, I've been doing this lately, not taking an ad break. I have to do it when I can, in the natural breaks, because that I'm not going to take in a natural break and someone's giving me 1 star. Oh, he doesn't take his water breaks right. That happened to me once. Too many water breaks, the person said. It's like I'm sitting here for an hour and a half talking, no one else. You fucking do it and see if you're not going to take a drink of water, 1 stars for a bunch of stuff, sure. The water breaks, come on now. And I'm pretty sure it wasn't in the dead heat of summer, too, is when it happened. It's just like there's some stuff that sticks with you because you just laugh, like, man. And because it doesn't bug me in the sense of like, oh, that 1 star. No, I don't want that person listening. It's just like, really? That's what you do? But yeah, John Boyega today did an interview talking about Star Wars. And it's so funny because 2 weeks ago we did Oscar Isaac, where Oscar Isaac originally said he wouldn't do Star Wars unless he needed another house. And now was kind of walking back going, oh, hey, I'd be willing to do it. Great story, great director. Talk to Kathy, see what they got. Maybe I'm game. John Boyega seems like it's the other side. And it's funny because a few weeks ago I thought that he could be convinced. Now, again, as we talk about the Batman stuff, never say never. Harrison Ford many times did not want to do Star Wars, and he did it. And he did it again, and they brought him back again, and they brought him back for Rise of Skywalker, right? But he just says that he's cool off it, he's done off it. He says he's happy with Finn existing in the animation, video games, and all that type of canon stuff, but he feels that episode 7 to 9 was a good run for him. Now, again, never say never. His mind could change. And like I was saying a few weeks ago, I thought he was more able to convince because he had that falling out Lucasfilm, made some statements, but then he'd also like, hey, Kathy called me right away and we had a good talk. I thought things were kind of smoothed over a little bit. Now, I don't know if it's necessarily that, because if you look at the films he's choosing, and even then he said he sat down with Daniel DeCalua and just talked about his career and talked about the route it was going. I think he's very much in a self-preservation mode, and not in the sense like, oh, his movies are bombing, let's look out. No, I just think he's trying to find his right calling or what he wants to do next. You know, it's the same way as the classic story Matthew McConaughey, right? Was always looked upon as just the romance Hollywood pretty guy, and he didn't want to do that. And then he lost agents and roles due to this of saying, I want to do something else, and eventually did pay off. He won an Oscar. And you look at John Boyega. He did Attack the Block. I'm not sure if he did anything else, and then right on to Star Wars, you know? And then that was a big chunk of his life. And he did some other films, of course. But I think that's also another reason why he's kind of been tepid about like anyone asking him about Marvel. I just feel, I'm not saying he's doing like the, oh, he's going on an Oscar run, he needs to win an Oscar. No, I don't think he's doing that. I think he is just picking roles that are going to make people look at him as a more serious, dramatic, better actor. Because unless you were Adam Driver, I don't think people got that necessarily from the new trilogy. People already knew that about Oscar Isaac, so that's doesn't really count. I feel like people should know that about Daisy Ridley, but I feel like she's getting looped where she is kind of typecast in that role. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope to see her in more, but at the same time, it's not been too much. It's been pretty quiet. I know she was in Orient Express, and I know she was doing like the voice, and they always do that. I feel like they did that with Kelly Marie Tran for a Rye of like a makeup of like, well, we can get her to do a voice of something. It's like, yeah, I guess, but like it's not the same as like in their exposure and stuff like that. But now Boyega's saying that he's done with it. Do I believe him? If it's for like an ever, no, I don't believe him. I believe that could honestly take like a 5 to 10 years. I'm going a minimum of 5 because I feel like he's spoken pretty well. And plus, there could be roles that he gets in the future that he does feel fulfilled by, wins an Oscar, stuff like that. He can hit those goals in 5 years, and maybe come back and go, hey, I want to play in that world. Especially if they do a show with Oscar Isaac as Poe or Daisy Ridley as Rey, and it's going good, received well, and he's a Star Wars fan, so he'd be keeping his eyes on it, I think. And even just hearing people like, okay, they're liking these characters again, I could jump on that. Now, again, that is all up to if the other people do these Star Wars stuff. And they keep hinting around it, but not confirmed answers. So either that's nothing's really confirmed and Disney just shit around the bed, or something could be coming up, like a D23. I don't know about that. Like, is this something coming up would be a Rey or Oscar, Rey or Poe show, movie, etc. If it's together or separate. I just don't see that happening as of yet. I feel they're pretty satisfied with what they're sticking to right now in Star Wars, but it's not a realm of the possibility to bring them back. It's just that it feels they are on a different path, which I think is kind of frustrating. And I was really looking forward to hopefully some more John Boyega. I actually thought he was something that'd be a shoo-in to do, because if they were to pitch him, hey, we know you weren't happy with this, what about this? Like, what about this version? And maybe that happened to him, right? And maybe he's like, none of the stuff you give me is really good. It doesn't fit with the route I want to go. You're just gonna peace out, and maybe in the future we'll work together again, right? So I can see it again, but I think it's gonna be if some of these other characters come back, have a good reaction, and move forward. Now, again, ever no, because I could see him being brought back for any number of Star Wars things in the future. That Summer Vacation show, that even though it's not canon for Star Wars, setting up the idea that he was going to look out for more Force sensitive people, was great. And I would love that show, just Finn the Jedi Hunter in a good way, that you think he might be bad, and no, he is with us. Still want to see Finn's actual like real lightsaber, but as of right now, I think he's burnt out. And if it's not the other people that are like Oscar and Daisy have to come back, maybe it is just 5 to 10 years of doing these type of projects and then maybe getting that itch, the same way 4 got that itch and the others got the itch. So we'll see. Again, ever? No, well, I think so. Unless it's a pure Star Wars front where they're like, yeah, we have no intention of going to start the sequel trilogy ever, which I would say is a mistake. Then don't do that. Like, actually stick with some of these characters that led you to $1 billion. As I was saying before, I think I cut my own thought off in the thought. Other than Adam Driver as Kylo Ren, I don't think many of them got too much credit for their acting. So I think that's what he wants to do and show he's not just a stars guy, not just a main guy. So even if he wants to be a Marvel, I feel like he's on purpose saying, no, I don't really want to do that. So we'll see. I hope it's wrong. I hope that it's something that could happen, especially if we're to get the original trilogy again, I guess the sequel trinity again. I think it's just a disappointment that clearly these characters, at least to me and Rise of Skywalker, were set up for more. And I know sometimes you could do that ending film to give them happy endings, but just feel like more we wanted to see, or more we actually wanted to see in the original sequel trilogy we didn't get to, and then it cut off right when it's getting really interesting. Like, oh man. So maybe if there's something juicy, maybe a whole bunch of circumstances have to go into this, maybe. But I do think it will happen at some point. Maybe that's just me willing it and wishing it into the universe, but I don't know that for sure. So we'll see. He's making the rounds right now because he's promoting Woman is King. I'm not sure if people ask him again, so like, oh, what about down the line, stuff like that. But according to him, he said he was happy with episodes 7 and 9 being his Finn run, and that's it for him. So we'll see. But who else it's it for is Michael Myers. So Michael Myers, I said that like a way I'm going to explain. I'll take a drink before I explain to you who Michael Myers is. But Michael Myers, a.k.a. Halloween, came back a few years ago with Blumhouse, put out that first one. It was pretty massive for a horror film. I can't remember the numbers, but it did really well. Second one comes out. It's coming out during COVID times, right? And I remember he had said some statement of, hey, no matter what, I'm releasing this movie next year. It's going to happen. People are going to see it. And I don't know if that was a for the brand thing. I don't know if that was an actual fan thing of like, hey, you guys, you got to wait long, but I don't want you waiting longer. So, oh, good neck crack. You hear that, folks? Oh, that's good stuff right there. Whew. I gotta get to chiropractor soon, though. When I get back to work, my God, my back lately. But don't get old, people. If you do, keep staying in shape. I'm trying, but it's hard, 3 kids, lovely lady, 2 jobs. It's tough deal. But they did this video. Jamie Lee, she's in a field. It was fun enough. They kept having Michael pop up and everything like that. But they said something that I was not predicting today. That Halloween ends, the end of this trilogy. We had Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills, woof, and now Halloween Ends, which I'm expecting to be like another woof. And Halloween Ends, the finale of this, trilogy, conclusion of the trilogy. First time we're going to be having, I would imagine, I don't know, like a real satisfying ending to Michael Myers dying, I guess. That's what I take from the word ends, I would imagine. I feel like they're going to make it a big event. But anyways, Jamie Lee's out there saying all this thing and says, oh, we realize people love to scream at the theaters with everybody and they love, feeling that adrenaline. But we also realize they watch at home. And they just pitch it as Halloween Kills did so well and so great, we have to put this on streaming. Could be true. I agree with people when it's a pessimistic view to have, but the idea of, hey, stop trying to make Peacock happen. Now they have to as a business, but just like, I don't think people are going to subscribe just for, okay, maybe I'm wrong. There'll be some people that will be, but I don't think in the pocket numbers, maybe they're hoping that the day and date. It is risky as always. You do that. There's chance of torrent. There's chance of people streaming it. Obviously, Halloween Ends will premiere on the Thursday, so the night before. So if you really want to see, you can go see it before without spoilers and anything like that. But then after that, you can just watch it from home. And why would they do this? There's the 2 reasons. One, either maybe there's probably more than 2 reasons, but 2 reasons I thought of is, one, maybe they are telling the truth and it did so well. This is another reason to put it there. 2, it's one of these things like I wonder if they think it's not going to do as well, because there's been rumors about the plot and it having a really weird plot, like not what you expect, and a plot where people would say, you might not like the route it goes from people that have talked about Halloween Ends, right? So is there some sort of thing like what they did with They Them, as far as, hey, I think that they watched They Them, went, this is not a theatrical movie, this is probably not going to do well, let's get a little juice out of here. Is that the case here? I don't know. I feel like it would do well now, but let's I can't even do that because I was going to do the comparison of what did 2018 do to the Halloween Kills, but it's like I can't because it's not a fair comparison. It was a day and date, and it was in theaters with a COVID limited time, and that's what was interesting. And that's where, for both reasons, I thought they were just going to show it at Halloween. Show Halloween Ends in the theaters, and then get those people back and show, oh, look at the big box office, this and that. But I guess they're doing it. I probably will still see it in theaters. I didn't the second time just because, or for the second one, because it was still in the height of COVID and stuff like that. Um, yeah, it depends because I want to see a Halloween movie, especially if it ends, which I imagine at least will be the last one with Jamie Lee Curtis. I'd like to see it on the big screen, but at the same time, I didn't really like Halloween Kills. So it's like, is it worth my time and effort to make the trip, go do this? And making the trip's not that hard. Like the theater's not like hours away, but still just like when I could just watch at home, should I? And that's the point where people have the option, right? So we'll see. I haven't even decided what I'm gonna do. I guess what we're gonna do as a group, but we'll see. Speaking of, I have nothing. I'm gonna take. I was looking at the topics I had left. I got the Terrifier, which is a gross horror movie, King Kong with Disney Plus, and Rebel Moon Part 2, which really has nothing to do with Halloween Ends. I don't know. Let's start with King Kong. Most confusing one out of the bunch. So, very happy for Taylor Field. Gonna get his opinion on it, I'm sure. Maybe with D23 because it's coming up. Today it was announced. I can't remember who reported it first. If it was Variety or not. But either way, big trades were carrying it, and it seems like it's happening. It's been reported that there's going to be a King Kong series on Disney Plus, executive produced by James Wan. Saw, Insidious, Aquaman, Fast 7, Fast 6, Fast 6. I think that no. Let's see. There was Fast 5. I think it's Fast 7. Fast 7 would be the one. So, what's interesting about this is, and we weren't sure about this either as far as Warner Bros. Owning the rights, not owning the rights, but I'm assuming they do own the rights to Godzilla and King Kong, and much like we talked about yesterday with like Bugs Bunny and animation and Batman the Cape Crusader and stuff like that, that there's some things that they might just view as, this isn't going to do much for our streaming service, but we can sell it. Almost like what Sony does, right? They have a deal with Stars, Netflix, Disney Plus, because they're just trying to rack in as much money as possible. And maybe they're starting to do that now, Warner Brothers, because they just need it. But there was some talk of it. Maybe it's public domain. I don't know. But I took it as it was semi-connected to that universe. They didn't say anything specifically, but they said, hey, it is... it's origins of King Kong. Like, it's not specific. That's what I'm trying to work. It's not specific, this one, but it's origin. It's enough where it could fit to the Godzilla vs. Kong universe. Because it's weird. Godzilla's on Apple Plus, Kong's on Disney Plus, and they're still supposed to do a film, like a sequel to it. If they're not the same ones, then cool, but very strange move to maybe oversaturate the market a little bit with a bunch of Godzillas and stuff like that. But I digress because the last one did well, so maybe people want that. But Disney Plus, okay, that's fun. I wasn't expecting that fit, but again, maybe it's just the fact that they looked at this and went, this would make more money somewhere else, which is strange. It's strange with DC, it's strange with Batman, it's strange with this, strange with Godzilla, that you're greenlighting all these stuff that are brands that could be associated with you, gone. Even the fact of, you said you're going to create your own stream service next year of discovering Warner Bros. Connected, right? Maybe if it's earlier than next year, but I just again feel with DC, with this, it's just, it's odd that these things are going to other brands when you have an IP. It's like me giving up a successful podcast show for, I don't know, reasons, cost cutting. I guess technically that would be it, but I don't know if these cost cuttings are really gonna help you out. But hey, James Wan's producing. That's cool. It's supposed to be, like I was saying, Kong's origins on Skull Island and stuff like that. That could be fun. I'm happy for Taylor Field. I might check it out a little bit. Depends. Hulu, which is kind of Disney, did great with Prey. Not saying that they're there to kill King Kong or anything. I'm not saying there's a what if episode or something, but I'm just saying that they can bring some of these older franchises a bit back and give a new spin, and I think you could do that with King Kong. So we'll see. No date, just it's in the works and stuff like that. Rebel Moon Part 2, that is Zack Snyder's space Star Wars. People don't know that there was rumors that Snyder like pitched a Star Wars movie or a plot of one, and they kind of talked about it a little bit, but after a certain era, they're like, nah, we're not interested in that. So he's like, okay, I'm going to do this over here. Now, this is something, thank goodness, about maybe on the vodka stream. Now, I don't follow Zach's career every day. They know everything that's going on, his post on Vero, blah, 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 all this sort of stuff, right? When I was talking to Ridley, I didn't put two and two together when they gave me the recording schedule, the filming schedule, and just broke down like, hey, this is something's up here. And the theory was that they're filming 2 movies or something, 2 parts or back to back and stuff like that. And that's what it seems to be. It seems to be that I can't. Oh shit! I should pull up. But there was something even more concrete that showed that it's happening. And good for Snyder. You look at that. He's making Rebel Moon, and I guess Rebel Moon Part 2. He's gonna make Army of the Dead, whatever that sequel's gonna be called, and just producing other projects and stuff like that. So I like that. I like the idea of. I don't know if that means if it is just a 1-2. I don't think so. I think Netflix is looking for franchises, and Snyder could create that. He does have a different style, but his style with Star Wars could work out. There's certain characters that, maybe he didn't direct, but there's certain kind of character types that he could work and use and stuff like that and work towards his script. So, yeah. Now, how will I not be excited for part 2 if part 1 sucks? And obviously part 2 has to be them going forward. Oh, I guess not. I was just trying to think of like, I guess you could end on a cliffhanger. I was just trying to think of how long does this part 2 happen from the first one? Is it a year? I meant more as far as like actual physical release date. Is it a year? Is it 6 months like we're seeing with Matrix and what we're gonna see those Avenger movies? Is it like a little older than that? Is it just when it's good to go? I don't know, and that's what we'll see in the coming months or whatnot. I am been surprised that they haven't posted much about this movie, not because I don't think they're not confident. I'm kind of waiting for it. I was kind of waiting for this to be my version of, I would say, the Northman, of seeing stuff and getting more and more excited as time went along. But we'll see something. I'm sure there'll be some sort of Netflix. So they already did that Geek Week and stuff like that, but I'm sure there'll be something, right? And then final piece of news. Oh boy, this needs a drink. It's a doozy. Terrifier 2 coming out October 6th. So Terrifier, this is something that I think horror, I'm trying to think of another thing to equate it to. Wrestlers, superhero costumes or outfits, stuff like that, superheroes in general. The look of a character or hero, villain, etc. is very important, from not talking about like story-wise, from a consumer standpoint. Because Terrifier, whether it's a poster or just the way he looks, and it's Art the Clown. I knew nothing about the Terrifier until I'd seen it just on Netflix or something like that. And it was this thing of, who the hell is this creepy clown? And it's the features are very defined. I don't think I've ever seen the guy's real face, but the features are really defined. The paint is, designed in a way. The look sticks with you. It's not something that you forget right away. It's a standout look. And I saw that picture, and it was just the Terrifier. I was like, okay, what's this? And I looked into it. Okay, it's a short, cool. Then they made it into a movie. That's great. Love to see directors get that type of success and everything like that. And then I saw this movie where it is Art the Clown that goes around this town murdering people. That's the most I'll say, is maybe go see it, or maybe not. I do like the movie. I like Art as a character. He's a very weird, out there type of character. He feels like he's in control the most times, but then the weirdest things will set him off. But the biggest thing is the violence. If you're not into the Saw, torture porn, stuff like that, this is not for you. The first Terrifier had one of the most disturbing things in there. And I don't look at this as like oh man, they got me, like I'm feeling woozy. Not the sense of like I'm offended they did that. I just thought sometimes that movie went overboard and lost some of its shock value. But I think that's what they're kind of going for. They did, at least in the first one. I feel like now they're going to do it again. Like I said, I watched Saw, I watched all that torture porn and stuff. There's some fucked up stuff in there. People the girl in the chains. If you've seen Terrifier, you know what I'm talking about. My God, I couldn't believe what I was seeing as that scene took place and went down. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. This is like, and I will say, as far as violence or horror movies, things I've never seen before. So that's something you can say about this movie, that I never ever seen something like that before. So bravo to that. And then we got a teaser too, where, okay, this character's been gone for, I think they said, a year. Was responsible for the murder of these 9 people, and there's always rumors he might come back. And this trailer looked very much more the same. Now, you might watch this and be, I don't know, like, this doesn't look that bad. I feel like I can handle it. All depends what you watch. The trailers are downplaying it. And even though you'll say, oh, but they still show a lot of blood, cuts to the head, cuts to everywhere, right? No, it's still it's still sugarcoating it. It's still like what I imagine the actual product's going to be is pretty fucking crazy. I like the I don't know. I lost my train of thought there. I like the idea of Art having these. He kind of has these visions, right? And the first one, there was a few of them, or it's just like a little bit of fantastical world, but there was just a few of them. This feels like it's really doubling down on characters living, or like in musical numbers. There's no musical numbers, but just in that sort of sense of a dream world or not reality, right? And it's very campy. They know what they're doing. They're very smart. They know they got a low budget, and they probably got a low budget too for actors. I'm not trying to be mean, but people that maybe aren't the greatest, but they use them wisely and they know what they're doing. It sometimes the first one felt like a little low budget, but it got past it. But I think that they know with this film, there's like a level. It's almost better to lampshade it and lead into the cheese, the campiness, I don't know how good this is on purpose, because if you're smaller and it's a smaller budget, stuff like that, you won't get called out about that, because it's kind of like, oh, well, we meant to do that, and it's not even a good trick. I think it's something they are doing on purpose. It's just kind of a bonus. If they're doing that on purpose, then, wow, they're very smart. But I think it's just a bonus to the carnage it's going to pursue. And they show a lot of stuff, even in this trailer. I don't even know if this was PG-13 or what it was, but they show a lot of stuff in here. And I will watch it. I'm ready to see what fucking gross shit Art does. And that's where I will say that it doesn't withstand the test of time. Like, I'm down to see, this scary ass clown fuck up some people. Great. And maybe he'll get fucked up like the end of this trailer showing. But the actual movie, the first one, wasn't much to write home about, because it is just that. It is just a guy going around killing people. You don't get much character development. You don't get many scenes between characters. You get the odd one, but it's just more so a slash and dash type of film, if you like that. And it does have slasher elements too, but it's definitely, I think, more torture porn in a way, the things that happen. And they're showing lots of things, like that kid with the white eyes and the blood is going down his mouth. I hope there's not too much of an origin here, because I think Art is the kind of type of character that is like an anomaly that just kind of comes from nowhere, and no matter what origin you give them, it's not going to be good enough at this point. If you introduced them earlier and then got them to this point, sure, but I don't think it would work, but it could always be proved wrong. So this is October 6th. I'm not sure if it's on Screenbox or what the deal is, but I'll be watching that, and we'll see what it is. I'm very excited for Halloween. Halloween's my season. And I'm happy for them that made this movie, because I think it was like shelved or kind of in limbo for a little bit, and then it's here now, so it looks like it's coming out. So that's good, and maybe the director and whatnot will remember my kind sentiments and maybe have me killed one day in a film and stuff like that, because like they have some gruesome kills that are very gruesome, but at the same very, very memorable. I'm excited to see like what this is. I feel like it's getting a theatrical, but then it is streaming some places. I'm interested to see how well this does, and if it warrants a third, but I think they make them pretty cheap. So if that's the case, easily done. But yeah, I think that's it. I think I've hit everything fit to print there. If anything happens in between me waking up and then this show recording, then I might add something on to the end of this episode. But yeah, as always, thank you a little bit of a shorter one. Not much to news. Like we've talked about before, where DC has news all the time. It's just kind of unfortunate news or just business news. And then Marvel, Disney, Star Wars, they're all saving up for D23, which is very, very soon. We're going to be doing coverage of both days of the 9th, which is the gaming conference, and the 10th, which is like the overall live action stuff, but I just feel like everything is kind of on hold till then. It's a great time to do a solo show, but no, I'm joking, because end up being a good time to cover the background stuff. The rest of the stuff, okay, smaller topics, but I got some stuff on my sleeve. I've seen a couple BS meters. A fun one that I saw was them reporting that, oh, Star Trek is rumored to get a female director. And it's like someone pointed out, what about the director that's actually been announced for this project, Matt Shankman? So they're always peddling shit. So so I may be doing those one of these days. Travis told you, but or for Travis told you, yeah, doing a BS meter. But we do got AEW tonight. I'll be reviewing that because that is a big one. Gonna be an interesting show. Go listen to my cast yesterday. Talked a lot about that stuff. But yeah, when you hear from me next, I promise you it'll not be boring.